What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. And while we are still doing Black History Month propaganda from USA Today, HBCUs see surge in applications after George Floyd protest, help from Black celebrities. So you're telling me that after major cities across the country were burnt down, those people were inspired to apply to an HBCU. And of course, the USA Today is one of the biggest, propagandist outlets in the world, arguably. Maybe not the world, I don't know about like North Korea or China or whatever, but certainly in the United States, and of course, from Black celebs. So all of you are so stupid that you're going to take your cues from Black celebrities. You're going to vote for Joe Biden because Cardi B told you to, and Stacey Abrams said that you should probably ditch your baby if you don't want it. So they're going to promote this thought life, right? Like, HBIC and boss bitch and all that stuff. And when that comes to bite you and you end up I'm getting off topic here, but my point is the Black celebs have helped. And George Floyd protests have helped the enrollment rates or the application rates at HBCUs. And then, of course, they use Chadwick Boseman. It's a 30-minute video. Definitely not going to watch that. But they say when Dr. Nicole Butler Muyung was a freshman at the University of Miami in the late 80s, she visited friends at Howard University in Washington, D.C., for one of Howard's legendary homecomings. By the next year, she had transferred to the renowned historically Black school, which boasts an impressive roster of alumni, including the first Black Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, Pulitzer Prize and Nobel-winning author Toni Morrison, and Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman. Okay, so they're talking about, I guess, old Black celebrities that are now boosting the application rates at HBCUs, and nobody, Black, white, or otherwise, should be looking to these weirdo celebrities. Now, everybody knows I'm a Kanye West fan, but for decades now, he's made the best music. I'm not going to him. I never went to Kanye West for political advice. It just so happened that he kind of sort of turned out to be based, and I'm glad because, when I was growing up and I used to listen to Jay-Z, and now Jay-Z comes on my on shuffle, and I can't even listen to it anymore because he's so completely compromised. So my point is, you don't look to celebrities, but if I spend 20 years listening to Kanye West and it just turns out that he's not the crazy person the media turns out is trying to make him out to be, then that's a step in the right direction, right? That's just a lucky thing, right? And that's why he's so good at music, is because he's always just done his own thing, and he never was capitulating to the powers that be. But I digress. They're trying to make it seem like, the George Floyd riots that cost billions of dollars and burned down cities across the country. Well, on the plus side, more Black people are applying to HBCUs, I guess, on top of the Black propaganda. And this also reminds me, if you'll recall, the old Run DMC cartoon pharmaceutical video, the Juvenile Back That Thing Up, pharmaceutical remix. So they were going hard on, and they're going to target everybody, right? It's just they target Black people in this way, but they target white people in different ways. They target Asian people with the Stop Asian Hate. They target the Latinos with the Latinx. They target everybody just in different ways, right? Because they know deep down inside we're all basically the same, but they're going to divide and conquer and try to pit everybody against each other. But I'll move on. She says, I walked on that campus and I said, I've never seen anything like this in my life. Take me to the application office, and I got my application before I left. So this was back in the 80s. They're telling some story. I don't know how they're going to link it to George Floyd. Her experience is one that an increasing number of Black people want to share. There has been a dramatic recent increase in applications to historically Black colleges and universities, up 30% at some schools. Applications to Morehouse College, a men's historically Black college in Atlanta, increased 60% in 2020. So right after George Floyd, everybody burned down the Wendy's. They put their mail-in ballot in the mailbox, and then they went to apply to an HBCU. Okay, I guess so. Across the street at Spelman College for women, applications jumped to more than 11,000 in 2021 from 4,000 in 2014. Okay. More Black Americans applied to HBCUs after George Floyd protest. Again, we're still going to talk about how this was just a peaceful protest and they didn't burn down things and kill people and cause billions of dollars in damage, but I digress. Since the racial reckoning after the killing of George Floyd in 2020, and they never let certain things go. Like they're going to hold on to this forever. They're going to hold on to Charlottesville forever. They're going to hold on to January 6th forever. They will never let this go. They're still holding on to slavery, right? They will hold on to everything that works in their agenda forever. It's the same thing that we see with the gender ideology. They want to silence and dismiss all of these quote unquote detransitioners, which is a crazy story, but that's a completely different ballpark. They will hold on to every single tiny little weird thing about a bathroom in every single case, but as soon as one comes out and snaps out of it and says, whoa, that was crazy, then they don't want to hold on to it anymore, right? They want to talk about representation, but they don't want to talk about Black voices who are not going to shield for the establishment. They don't want to talk about Kanye. They don't want to talk about Candace. They don't want to talk about B. Tatum. They don't want to talk about Bryson Gray. But they want representation for their causes, very obviously. Since the racial reckoning after the killing of George Floyd in 2020, HBCUs have gained significant visibility as mainstream America has looked more intentionally for ways to address systemic inequalities that have led to disparities in educational opportunities for marginalized communities. And I love this systemic thing, right? They always talk about systemic racism and, representation, and then they pick the oldest, whitest system, lifetime politician in the world to become the president, and Joe Biden, and they selected him. We don't want to talk about that. We'll get kicked off social media. I still like they've maybe taken their foot off the gas on the Rona stuff for a little bit, but they have not taken their foot off the gas as far as elections are concerned. Like if you do not buy that narrative, then you will be deemed an extremist and kicked off social media still to this day, which is crazy. Even with Susan Wojcicki, whatever her name is, stepping down. But I digress. Moving on. The specialness that we are intentional about this empowerment mode when other spaces look at students from a deficit perspective and we don't. Professor Kimberly, what? The specialness is that we are intentional about this empowerment mode when other spaces look at students from a deficit perspective and we don't. Whatever. Professor Kimberly Jackson of Spelman University's Chemistry and Biochemistry Department said of the school's appeal. When they come in, we tell them you have potential. We highlight Black female scholars at Spelman, said HBC. See, that's what they're just telling you, that everybody else is saying you can't, but we're telling you that you can. And it's all in your head, right? It's the invisible leash. It's the invisible box. It's the invisible cage that you're in, and they're pretending that they're letting you out of it, but they're only digging you deeper, right? That's what's happening. Again, the soft bigotry of low expectations is through the roof with articles and Black celebs and George Floyd. It's absolutely disgusting. But Black celebs put spotlight on HBCUs. Okay. HBCUs have also benefited from partnerships with an investment by major companies and wealthy individuals. Tennis legend Serena Williams, actor Michael B. Jordan collaborated in 2021 on a contest to award $1 million to an HBCU student with an outstanding business plan. In 2020, actor Kevin Hart provided $600,000 in scholarships to 18 qualifying HBCU students. And look, I'm not against any of this. It's just the propagandistic nature of it, right? Like, just let these things take their course, but they always have to lay everything on so thick and so heavy. Like I say, every single one of their agendas, every single one of their talking points comes from a kernel of like actually making sense. A tiny little piece of it might make sense, but then they just take it over the edge. They go so extreme with it to the point where it's completely bastardized and it doesn't make sense at all anymore, right? And it happens every single time with every issue that they pump out. Obviously, Rona being the most extreme case of like, all right, let's be a little careful to the point where you can't go into a restaurant without proof of paperwork, right? That's what happens. And this goes on. Former NFL star Deion Sanders donated a portion of his $300,000 base salary, blah, blah, blah. This is all nonsense. Corporate America helps lift up HBCUs. So corporate America, they say they're going to help. It's obviously all a scam. They want to talk about on YouTube. They want to talk about on Hulu, all this. Amazon even uplift Black voices, support Black creators. And it goes without saying, if the opposite if almost, okay, not any other race, you can say Latinx or you can even say Asian, but if they even remotely thought about saying uplift white voices, there would be a riot in the street immediately. So they want to talk about this equality, but that's not what they want. They want superiority. We see it with the feminists as well. You know, they want to talk about, well, everything should be equal, the NBA players, the WNBA players, all that, but it's not. It's very obviously about control, as is with every single thing, right? That's becoming the theme of this channel, is just the control aspect. And this article goes on for far too long. It's all nonsense about how black people are going to college because George Floyd and Kevin Hart told them to, basically. But thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, and of course, subscribe.